The nature of the sedition. This sedition was American, it was clear. The Americans planned and acted. The aim of the Americans is to swallow Iran. We consider the President of America guilty, both for the casualties and for the damages and for the accusation he made against the Iranian nation. Former U.S. Ambassador to Israel Dan Shapiro has warned that President Donald Trump may soon attempt to assassinate Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, calling it a potential escalation that could redefine America's Middle East policy. Shapiro made the prediction after analyzing Trump's latest remarks to Politico, where he suggested that Washington's patience with Tehran had run out, hinting at the possibility of direct military action against Iran's top leadership. In that interview, President Trump declared, "It's time to look for new leadership in Iran," a statement that many viewed as his most striking indication yet that the U.S. may be actively considering regime change in Tehran. Trump's comments have been widely interpreted as the clearest signal so far that the administration is prepared to take unprecedented measures against Iran's ruling establishment, moving beyond mere economic or diplomatic pressure. For days, Trump has repeatedly threatened American intervention in response to Iran's violent crackdown on protesters, vowing that his administration will not ignore the regime's deadly suppression of its own citizens. However, reports now indicate that the president has delayed any direct action following a personal request from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who advised against striking before Israel's defenses were fully reinforced. Both Axios and the New York Times have reported that Netanyahu privately urged Trump to postpone his plan to attack, citing sources familiar with confidential discussions between Washington and Jerusalem. According to Axios, Trump was told to hold back any strike until Israel could boost its missile defense capabilities and readiness to counter Iran's potential retaliation across the region. In his latest analysis, Shapiro linked Trump's remarks to recent U.S. military deployments across the Middle East, suggesting the moves could be part of a larger strategy positioning Washington for possible future confrontation with Tehran. Dan Shapiro said, quote, "Trump's comments to Politico on needing new leadership in Iran, and Khamenei's mindless baiting of Trump on X, lead me to believe that Trump is going to try to kill the Supreme Leader this week. There will soon be a U.S. carrier strike group in the Middle East, making it easier for the U.S. to carry out extensive strikes in Iran and be prepared to defend against Iranian response strikes. Taking that shot at Khamenei, perhaps combined with strikes on IRGC and Basij command and control nodes, would allow Trump to say he is keeping faith with Iranian protesters he encouraged, and fulfilling his threat to make the regime pay for massacring them. But that is a long way from achieving regime change in Iran. Khamenei's elimination, if it occurs, would most likely be followed initially by an IRGC takeover and a still aggressive and repressive regime. The change of regime, when it takes place, will be authored by the Iranian people. Supporting them in their quest for freedom will require sustained focus and largely non-kinetic measures. It will not be achieved by a one-and-done strike. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump took to his social media platform, Truth Social, where he repeated his demand for new leadership in Iran, renewing pressure on Tehran's rulers amid the escalating unrest across the country. In the same post, Trump described Ayatollah Ali Khamenei as a sick man, calling Iran the worst place to live, in what many observers see as one of his harshest public attacks yet on the Iranian supreme leader and his government. Donald Trump said, quote, "It's time to look for new leadership in Iran. The man is a sick man who should run his country properly and stop killing people. His country is the worst place to live anywhere in the world because of poor leadership. What he is guilty of, as the leader of a country, is the complete destruction of the country and the use of violence at levels never seen before." Trump's sharp remarks came just hours after Khamenei publicly denounced the U.S. president's repeated military threats, accusing Washington of deliberately undermining Iran's stability through intimidation and interference. Responding in his televised speech, Khamenei blamed Trump personally for fueling the deadly protests sweeping Iran, saying American incitement and sanctions were driving violence and division inside the Islamic Republic. The nature of the sedition. This sedition was American, it was clear. The Americans planned and acted. The aim of the Americans, and I am stating this clearly and unequivocally with 40-odd years of experience in the Islamic Republic, is to swallow Iran. In the past, when sedition like this occurred in the country, which we had numerous seditions, it was often the American press, second-rate politicians from America or European countries who interfered. This was a feature of this sedition that the U.S. president himself intervened in the sedition, spoke, made comments, threatened, encouraged the seditionists, gave them a message from America to these people, who I will tell you later, who they were, that you go ahead, don't be afraid, he said, we'll support you, we'll provide military support. So that is, the US president himself entered the sedition, and was part of the sedition. He said openly, he spoke openly, he encouraged openly, we have documents one after another that they helped, both the Americans and the Zionist regime helped, which I will briefly explain now. It became a historic day like 22nd Bahman, the anniversary of revolution. We are not leading the country to war, we do not intend to lead the country to war, but we will not leave the domestic criminals either. Worse than domestic criminals are the international criminals, we will not leave them alone either. It must be pursued in its own ways and in the right way, and by the grace of God, the Iranian nation must defeat the seditionist, just as it defeated the sedition. We consider the President of America guilty, both for the casualties and for the damages and for the accusation he made against the Iranian nation. Drawing on my more than 40 years of experience leading the Islamic Republic, I state definitively, the US's goal is to swallow Iran. The nature of this sedition was American. It was clear that the Americans planned and acted. This isn't about the current President of the United States either. It's about the person who is the President now. It's about American policy. American policy is that they can't tolerate a country like Iran with these characteristics in such a sensitive geographical location, with these capabilities, size, and population. They can't tolerate such a country with the advancements it's making, scientifically, technologically, in various sectors. This is not tolerable by the Americans. Since the beginning of the revolution until today, this dominance that Americans had over Iran, which was eliminated by the people, by the youth, by all segments of the people across the country, under the leadership of the great Imam Khamenei. From day one, they have been thinking about reversing it, meaning placing Iran once again under their military dominance, their political dominance, their economic dominance. That is the goal.